Hey people, what's going on? We're here. We're not live, but we're here. Uh with a tech talk. Yeah, look at this. Getting a new tech talk rolling out here. It's been a little while on this. Just had to get one out. Mostly because I actually was starting to think about these topics and starting to get these rolling. Want to do this of course more with more of our esteemed members, colleagues, friends of the IVPAC and stuff like that. But I wanted to get this rolling with this one, re-rolling, I should say, with this one. I said I was going to get more of these out, so we're going to get more of these out. We're talking about this one here. It was a basic one too, which I really didn't need anybody for. And inputs, of course, could be made and had, but this one again, pretty standard, along with probably a couple of the other ones we're going to do quickly here, just because there's nothing about them. But this one we're going to talk about hybrids, and what they are, what they mean, what they are to everybody. Um, and basically, like I think if you get a mental image of a hybrid, well, nowadays it obviously means something a little bit different than it used to, but like we say hybrids and now we say hybrids here in IVPAC, and it could mean a couple things. It could mean a hybrid paper, a cross thing, like combining two aircraft or something like that. It could mean combining two ideas. Mostly, I'm bringing it up for that very reason because we had the flights of the Diablo hybrid recently, and had to go. Excuse me, I had to go grab them real quick, so I know people like that. But had the flights of the Diablo hybrid, and I wanted to get everybody's, like, okay, the reason why it was called the Diablo hybrid was for obvious reasons. To me, should be only like these are kind of that way. These being Phase Six is built the way that they were. They're not. They're not what you would call, I suppose, true hybrids, because this has been done before. But I think they considered this. I like to think they consider this because this is kind of like a mutation. This is the next step. These aircraft are, of course, basically Diablos combined with Phase Six technology. So these are what I like to term as like loose loose translated hybrids. Um, there's a multitude of technologies on them, and the tape broke apart here, so the thing's down for a change, which is weird. Not exactly weird when you consider the small amount of tape I used back there, but anyway. So when basically I have a different view of what they are versus what a lot of other people probably view what they are. So I just wanted to get into exactly what you would do to make your hybrids, how you would consider what you build as a hybrid. These, yes, I consider them hybrids, and since I've kind of officially disposed of any phase single paper and given it to NASA's and his development of Diablo, could these be Diablos with phase six technology? I didn't slant the fuselage here, so technically no. I mean, yes, but no. The true Diablo, if you remember, if you guys have seen it, a true Diablo has a slanted fuselage, but it is made out of single paper, and the folds are quite similar to what ended up being a phase is. So, um, they're Diablos, I guess. I don't know. Mark, chime in on that. See what you think. We'll probably get into this again later on as we discuss exactly what that actually could be. But normally, I don't lean towards this kind of view as these are hybrids. I don't think that's what these are. I think these are just like a plane that borrows tech from another plane to create a better or worse plane. I don't see where I don't see where you'd have a problem with like developing a plane, co-developing a plane with somebody that makes these for whatever reasons, because the aircraft itself, man, that thing looks skinny when it's actually put on that. But I wanted it to sit straight. I'm sorry, I'm kind of nitpicking with them, but I don't like how they're sitting. I'm trying to show them off, and they're like being kind of what I consider uncooperative. That's pretty good. Okay, but anyway, so Diablos, they're not true Diablos. I mean, if anything, what you could do is like, uh, No, they're Diablos. Okay, because like the intention was not there, but it turned out it is there. The only difference is they don't have the slanted fuselage. Now the one I did it is true Diablo. You've seen the video, you've seen the short, and I have the aircraft. I just don't have it here. So I just want to say that like this, I consider these Diablos. These might have Phase 6 technology in them, and that one to a lesser extent, but these are some of the earlier ones built, and I can't remember if you guys saw these fly or not. You might not have. I think I only posted 3 clips. There's others, or these are. Hell with it, I don't know. But anyway, they all fly pretty good, and they can be. And this would actually, I would actually really need NASA's input on this because they don't borrow the slanted fuselage. I take it out. And in which case, I mean, I wouldn't hold that to myself by saying I cheated the system, not making a true Diablo by keeping it flat, intending to build a Phase 6. I don't know. I think I'd rather do a little bit of both where it's got the tailplane, it's got a little bit, maybe it's the strakes back there, the back, the back tailplane, and it actually retains the slant of the fuselage. That way it's like basically pure Diablo. Because these, like I said, it's just a little bit off. But I digress. These aren't exactly why I was talking about the hybrids, because again, I don't myself truly, I don't consider those hybrids. What I consider a hybrid is this. These I built, and I don't remember if I mentioned this in the news or not, but if I don't, I'm officially announcing it in the news now for SIL and for like any aircraft I got in there. Is these are what I consider true hybrids, and this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm going to actually develop. Wasp hybrids. These are what I consider the true hybrids. And when we build them, or when I build them, this is basically what I talk about. This is a Wasp. This is a built Wasp tailplane or plan form, but they have fins, and the fin is another sheet added onto the aircraft because there's almost no way I could get this onto a Wasp unless I added another sheet. And most of the time, it's been through my past, I have actually discussed hybrid aircraft. And when I have, I've referred to these. I must have the green thing on because I think it looks kind of funky. Let's see if I can eliminate that. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but that would be what I was referring to. Oh my God, what the hell just happened? Did it really just take that whole thing out? Oh, that looks much better. We'll go with that. But now it doesn't, now it's not translucent. Okay, so like blending into the mist. Yeah, these are truly hybridized wasp. This is the core wasp, and the fin and that nose that you see there are added onto the aircraft from another set of folds. And in this one's case, this was put on with the remainder of the aircraft that was taken off the folds of the wasp, because the wasp uses a square sheet. This is the remainder of the cutoff, which is what ideally I'd like to do with the wasps. A little bit of a different look, kind of a wider set for this wasp. This one's more true to the wasp design. I don't like this one as much because it's doing funky shit. Like it's like, can I get this to see? Can you get to see? Yeah, I know. It's like, but the wings are kind of S-ing, which means it's not going to fly for crap. And I mean, I can obviously correct that. I just didn't take the time to do it because all of these are built at work and I was aggravated with them. There we go. That's a little bit better. Anyway, so the wing S-ing is kind of corrected there. Yeah, that's much more waspish. There we go. So anyway, but when I refer to it, that's what I refer to. And like anytime you have, it opens up a whole new world because your design can be based on anything that you create. Any typical aircraft can be built with an amalgamation or a conglomeration, if you will, of another aircraft. And this isn't, but if you took one and then basically plastered another one onto it by tape, by staples, by glue, by any other form, simply folding and tucking, that's how you would get what I would term a hybrid. That's a true hybrid. And you've seen that before. We've discussed it before. And like I could show you, but the thing about this is hybrid is fluid technology. Any cut, anywhere you get it, you could two two totally separate sheets, full sheets. You make one plane, you make another plane, and then you glue them together. It's in the eye of the constructor. Whatever you're building, you happen to build it, you happen to make it, and you can make it. What I'm terming here is a hybrid. So I didn't want to like. I kind of didn't want to make sure you were narrow-minded about it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to bring up one and say like, oh, that's how you do it, and get you concentrating on this one particular plane. Like in this case, Wasp. These are just examples, but Wasp has it, and it's like, oh, okay. So I mean, it's a full sheet, a standard A4 sheet of paper, but using the cutoff to build whatever you want. I mean, this is. I think both of these use that idea, and they're both using the cutoff to create the fin. But you see, like this one actually has a nose, and the fin actually looks like it's a little bit. Actually, it is kind of scarfed. You see that it kind of cuts back here, whereas this one, it doesn't do that so much, but it is like an angle back. So basically, though, you're at the mercy. I don't like the way these turned out because it's not a symmetrical fold in the back, which means the fin's not going to be symmetrical. Which is why when you look at it nose on, you see like the fin looks like it makes that kind of curve. That's because this is a full sheet on this side, but obviously there's like a wing pocket forming here. And as with all wing pockets, if there's any stress anywhere, and this one does have it this way, it's leaning towards that direction. Ideally, you would take the fin and you would make your own variation of it, and you would make both folds, symmetrical all the way down, the length, the depth, and the width of the fin, or whatever it is that you put on the aircraft. In my case, that would be. So, but again, I like to stress that it is in the eye of whoever builds the aircraft as to what kind of hybrid you're dealing with. With these, I'm trying to make, of course, like my new company sort of requisition, or like anything that we do now, like is going to come across, and I'm like, we're having fins. Everything's going to have fins. I want vertical fins, if not a horizontal tailplane on every aircraft. So what I'm doing is, it doesn't matter how it gets it, it just gets it. So some of the newer designs, old but newer designs that I still got in the fleet that haven't been around that long, I'm trying to adapt because I'd really like them to adapt. So Wasp is getting this because it's got the cutoff, so it should make it easier for it. I'm just trying to see different ways to make these fins, put these fins on, and see what it is I like. This is almost like fluff, which is another tech talk we'll get into, and fluff is similar to what these are borrowing and using. But we're not going to concentrate on that so much. We're going to concentrate on the fact that we're making the hybrids, and this, because I'm using the cutoff, isn't really what you would consider a true, I guess even a true hybrid by that definition, since that would be like another plane added on to an extant plane. Like the Wasp would have, say, a Javelin attached to it, or a Nova attached to it. But basically, like if I would have just put this on here and put it on the top, that would be like, by this definition, what I'm talking about, a true hybrid. But these are hybrids. When you I consider it the same, taking parts of a different plane and making it look a lot different than it would normally be, still getting a viable result of the aircraft. A lot of times also, it turns out, and obviously with Wasp it won't, but with others it might, where the hybrid part is made of a different material. Whereas this is regular copy paper, A4 copy paper that these are made out of. The fins would probably get made out of the cardstock like these Diablos were made out of. Oh, they see. Woo! When you make a magenta, those things turn out really, man, like see-through wicked. Wow. Okay, that's kind of crazy. Let me go bring a white one up here. So yeah, yeah, exactly that. Like these would be added onto those, and this is cardstock. Yeah. But anyway, that would, like, in my eyes, see it as a true to definition hybrid all the way, because this would be harder, this would be cardstock, and this would be copy paper. But however you see it in your mind, this is how I see it though, is like basically stapling, gluing, adding another body onto an extant body, and that's it. That's how you really do a hybrid, I believe. Those shorts that you saw having to deal with Diablo HOTs and Diablo EXT hybrids, yeah, it's because I call them that simply because when I first built them, my intent was phase one idea. And then when I realized what I was doing, I was like, this is more Diablo than anything because I don't single paper. Well, I'm not slanting the fuselage. So I finally built a true Diablo. I don't know. I don't think he's ever used cardstock, so it's a great different aircraft for him. I hope he takes that. I hope he gets the base. He's getting the base established soon, folks. He actually showed me the numbers, so it's coming. And maybe I could ship him these and see what he thinks. We'll still be waiting on those shipments over there from Powerhouse. Right. Yeah. So anyway, so that's our talk on hybrids. And like I said, it's in the eye. I think from straightforward from the build, from the design to the build, you can consider a hybrid whatever you want. It's just not like electric versus paper. You could go ahead and say that, really. I mean, you could say like, well, I built it out of wood and paper, and yes, that would also be true. I I don't see how hybrids can be anything. I don't see how there'd be different terminology for something that would be different for one thing or the other. And I probably said it so many times, it's not a word anymore. Forgive me for that. But in any case, it's how you make it. This is just how I and I think a few others consider it. And I wanted to stress that because I noticed those videos where I'm, I'm using that term and I'm like, I'm not really sure that's exactly what they are, but we'll go with that. We'll go with that. So anyway, thanks for getting on with that. If there's any questions, comments, leave them up there in the comments, which I get back to you. If you think about that, we might guide you through a hybrid build sometime in the future. It has been done before. We have gotten into it and it's been done before. So it'd be great to get your ideas. Not necessarily required. Great to get your ideas though and see what you thought. Anything else you may have about that. But that's all we got. Little tech talk there. See you guys on the fly.